foul. That was absolutely ridiculous.
The Boston Bruins have won the Stanley Cup.
Up on down. Here comes a 1-2 pitch. Red Sox win the World Series.
I don't know. It's tough. Tom's up there, man. Being tough.
Ladies and gentlemen, the battery for Boston.
What's going on YouTube? It's boy Justin Almeida here on YouTube and from Beantown Takes. Back in with another reaction video. Sam Kennedy and Craig Breslow is about to come onto the podium for the press conference of the Rafael Devers trade, pretty much explaining themselves as to why they traded their third face of the franchise player in the last 5 years. We were about to get some answers as to why the Red Sox made this move, made this dumb move, giving Rafael Devers the middle finger, giving the fans the middle finger once again. It's an absolute and utter disgrace what this Red Sox team has come into, what this Red Sox team has become, and now the Red Sox have to answer questions once again because the Red Sox lied to their fan base once again. Here we go. It's about to start. Leave us know if you guys enjoy. Subscribe if you guys new. You guys know what to do. Go check out the website. The link's in the description down below. Without further ado, let's react to this live.
Taken lightly, nor did it come suddenly. We obviously, over the last week or so, reached an inflection point.
Yeah, fuck you, you liar.
As difficult as that inflection point was.
You literally said a week ago that he was taking reps at first base, you fucking douchebag.
I guess over the last 24 years, we acted boldly and decisively, and we came to the very difficult decision to make a deal that we think serves the best interests of the Boston Red Sox.
You can't fucking say that! You can't say that! Oh my god.
I'm really grateful.
I'm gonna lose him in this video.
And Tom and Mike.
Don't mind me, I'm having dinner right now also.
The Red Sox ownership group, to Craig Breslow and his staff who worked tirelessly on this deal. And we're pleased to be here tonight to talk about it and answer any questions you have. So with that, we'll open it up for any questions for me or for Craig, who...
I thought my gap was big, but holy shit, your gap is fucking humongous with the lies that go through your teeth.
And with that, we can begin with questions.
Okay, Craig, I just wanted to ask, you said kind of repeatedly this year that everything you've been doing in terms of moves and everything was with this year in mind. Just wanted you to explain like how this move kind of helps the team.
Good first question.
Yeah, it's a good question, and I understand why the initial reaction would be that it'd be tough to sit here and say when you move a player of Rafi's caliber, when you take that bat out of the lineup, how could I sit here and say that we're a better team? And I acknowledge that.
So why did you do it?
Kind of on paper, we're not going to have the same lineup that that we did, but this isn't about the game that is played on paper. This is about the game that's played on the field, and ultimately about winning the most games that we can. And in order to do that, trying to put together the most functional and complete team that we can. And so, I think when you consider the flexibility, the ability to give some of the young players some run, the opportunity to maybe repackage some of the resources and fill some voids in the roster as early as approaching this year's deadline, and being really intentional about the environment that.
Who are you gonna get that's better than Devers?
Then I do think that
for that lineup,
a chance that at the end of the season we're looking back and we've won more games than we otherwise would have.
And once again, you're relying heavily on this young core. Stop putting so much damn pressure on them.
Assuming all of Rafi's remaining contractual obligations, how big a factor was that in?
Oh, huge! Because they're cheap as hell. They didn't want to pay that contract.
Load as much, if not all, of his contract to facilitate a trade.
Yeah, no, working backwards, there was no mandate. The mandate is to assemble the best team that we possibly could, and in order
I'm about to crash the fuck out
to create a more functional roster, and give certain guys more.
How can you sit here and say your job is to create a better roster,
there.
and then you trade your best player on the entire team?
This is a roster that certainly has some needs, and we can talk about starting pitching and bullpen help, and we think that we addressed some of those in the return that we had in this deal. But additionally, I do think that it gives us some resources, like I said, as we head toward the deadline.
Sam, you mentioned that you all reached an inflection point, and I'm curious, from your perspective, why didn't the situation with Rafi work out?
Good question.
In just the second year of a $300 million deal.
Yeah, thanks for that, Julian. In the end, I think it's pretty clear that we couldn't find alignment with Rafi. Is the truth. We all worked at it over the last several months, going back to the off season, starting with Alex Cora and Craig and the staff, and then up to me and all the way up to John Henry. We worked at it. We had a different vision for him going forward than he had, and we couldn't get.
You promised him third.
We reached that,
and you went behind his back to find his replacement.
To make a big move.
You did the same shit to Xander.
Is there anything, looking back on the situation, dating back to spring training? Obviously, you guys got Bregman. Is there anything that you would have done differently?
Yeah, I think about that question all of the time. This is not the outcome that we had expected, and it's forced me to reflect on the interactions that I've had, not just with Rafi, but with other players, and opportunities to communicate differently. Anytime you get to this point where, as Sam said, you reach an inflection point and you fail to reach alignment.
Pre-apology to my grandparents once again.
Things that I could have done better. And I don't know if this outcome would have played out any differently. I think that there's a decent chance that it wouldn't have, but I absolutely need to have the humility to think back on the interactions and figure out what I could have done better.
Question for Sam and maybe Craig, kind of following what Julian was asking. What if you could tell the fans a little bit, perhaps, of was it strictly the on the field, the position moves, or what?
Good question.
Was it off the field? Was it leadership? What were some of the things that
yeah,
you were
let's hear it.
for,
Good question.
From Rafi that prevented it, and were you worried that it would affect the team?
You better answer this
long term.
Well, first of all, I want to express an understanding of empathy for anytime you see a star player leave the organization, especially.
This is the third one in 5 years!
And Brez and I are in the privileged position to be in a spot where from time to time we have to make really hard calls and hard decisions. As is John Henry and Tom Werner and Mike Gordon and our ownership group. That goes with the territory. These decisions are on us. And so we understand that many fans may be feeling disappointment. And so we understand.
Can you blame them?
In terms of what was missing, it just was that alignment in terms of what we felt we needed. That would be.
Your needs were all over the place.
Best interest of the ball club.
It was confusing to him.
That's a non-starter for us. We have to have that. We couldn't get there, and as Brez said, maybe we need to look back at things we could have handled better. But it's definitely a two-way street, and we didn't get to the alignment that we needed in the best interest of the Boston Red Sox. So we made the decision that we made, and we're also excited about what's coming back.
Oh yeah, wow! I'm so excited for a 6.5 ERA Jordan Hicks
in this deal.
Wow!
And so appreciative of that. But that was Rochi. That was the main thing.
Sam, this is Dan Shaughnessy for Sam and Craig. Would you guys characterize this as a baseball trade?
Good question.
Well, I'll start, Dan. Appreciate the question.
No.
This was, it was.
No, it's not. Shut the hell up. No, it's not.
We did what we felt was in the
This
best
was an ego
interest
move.
of the Red Sox.
Stop it.
On and off the field to win championship.
Shut
And, to continue to ferociously and
Oh my God.
relentlessly pursue a culture that we want everyone in that clubhouse.
This guy is
to embody,
the biggest fucking
and
capper
do
in the entire
everything in their
fucking
power,
world.
night in and night out, to help the team. So yeah, it was a baseball trade without question. Prez, if you want to elaborate on that.
Yeah, you better stop answering this stupid question.
We'll just echo that.
Because you're lying through your teeth once
obviously
again.
The quality of the return, we're going to...
If you are a championship contending team, you are not trading your best player on the team.
Bringing Jordan.
Stop the bullshit! You didn't want to fucking pay him because you don't care.
Half of a rotation, we've identified some development opportunities for him that we're going to work through, and then in James Tibbs, a first rounder from last year, an athletic profile, someone that makes great swing decision, and someone we think can excel in our PD infrastructure, and Jose Bayo, an exciting young arm. But again, we've talked a lot about, for some reason, this team, being an example where the whole was not greater than the sum of the parts, and being great teammates and sacrificing and stepping up for each other and embodying this shared vision. We believe that those are principles that we need to be.
That's a shot at Devers.
And so, at the end of the season, I think we could look back and say we've won more games than we otherwise would have because of the way that this roster is now able to come together.
Yeah. And one follow-up, if you would, was having the other team assume the entire balance of Rafael Devers' contract. Was that a condition of making a deal with the team?
No, I can answer that. No. We were trying to.
That's a lie, but all right.
Improve the long and short-term outlooks. We were trying to provide some additional roster flexibility, and we were trying to make the best baseball.
Oh, stop with this flexibility crap.
Sam,
you could have traded.
Last week you said that you believed when Devers, or when you guys asked Devers to pick up a glove, he'd be ready. Did you believe that when you said it, or was that just trying to kind of make things publicly?
Yeah, I think it's probably my own fault for being eternally optimistic. And so I believed it when I said it. I was sitting in the Nesson studio watching imagery of Rafi take ground balls. So yeah, I thought
Take that laugh and shove it up your butt.
Of complete alignment, but we couldn't. So
that sarcastic laugh.
Hey Sam, couple questions, Sam, for you and Brez. This is Steve Burton here.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, guys. Did Rafi actually request a trade?
Good question, because there's a lot of conflict on this right now.
The team found out the news. How'd they handle that? How'd they take that?
Yeah, I can jump in. There were times during the course of conversations with Rafi's camp, where they had indicated that perhaps a fresh start would be best for both sides, we were committed to trying to work through this, and like Sam said, ultimately we weren't able to achieve that.
You didn't try enough. That's all I'm going to say.
But this
you didn't try
does
enough.
represent that chance to reset on our end and for Rafi to get a fresh start, with a historic franchise.
Yeah, thanks a lot. You traded him to one of our rivals. Thanks a lot.
Was he shocked when he heard it?
There was definite surprise. I think the reaction from the group was surprise, but at the same time, as they started to talk amongst themselves, and even some of the quotes that have come out today, this is a group that believes in themselves, and a group that we have a ton of belief in, and I think that they are very businesslike in terms of recognizing we've got a game tonight to win in Seattle, and we've got 26 guys that are committed to doing that.
I would have a question right now for him.
We're at it, important to point out that this is in no way signifying a waving of the white flag on 2025.
Yes, it is.
We are as committed.
It 100%
we
is.
were 6 months ago to putting a winning team on the field, to competing for the division and making a deep postseason run.
Question for you. This, you said it's purely a baseball trade, and money wasn't the driving factor here. Did things become so untenable that you felt you had to make this move?
Yes.
You know, I don't think that would be a fair characterization. I think, where we got to was believing that making this move made more sense for us than not making it. And
Why?
if we didn't get the return that we that we were holding out for, then we wouldn't have made it. But the only commitment that I have ever made to any player, any staff member off,
So this is legit what you wanted?
Was to do what
that was it in the trade?
Boston Red Sox.
You're just as bad as Nico Harrison, bro.
But to follow that up, this is a generational talent.
No shit!
Right now, you guys receive 3 guys that are at the minor league level.
Right!
1 guy that's on IL. So
it seems like
you understanding why fans aren't seeing that and taking it maybe as face value, and that
if lucky face value
to go through is what I'm saying.
I understand the reaction from fans, the criticism.
Do you?
That we are taking the surprise. I do understand all of that, and I also will.
Guys, if you guys aren't done with this team now, then you guys never will.
If we didn't think it was best for the organization and the vision and the beliefs and culture that we're trying to create. We have a number of young players who are in the big leagues, and we're really excited about them, and we're very, very deliberate and intentional about the environment that we want to create. And ultimately, we believe that we're positioning the organization to win a bunch of games.
Stop putting so much pressure on this young core. It's unfair to them, the expectations you have on them.
With the timing, a multi-parter on the timing, was the call-up of Anthony to join Meyer and Campbell kind of a catalyst to the timing here? And if you can kind of talk about how the process came together, why it ended up, like whether or not you were approaching this as a broader-based exploration of the market, or if you identified the Giants as a potential partner and just negotiated exclusively with them. How did you proceed from a timetable standpoint?
Sure. So I think Sam had said it best when he said, this was not a decision that was made lightly or that was made suddenly. You don't trade Rafi Devers simply because you have a player coming off the IL and you need to make a move, right? But we are mindful of balancing, what we believe to be this, kind of really exciting young core with, the opportunity to play in the big leagues. And there were a number of paths that we felt like we could explore in order to get a more kind of cohesive and more functional roster. This was one of them, and it was ultimately the path that we went down. Now, whether or not we negotiated with one team exclusively, I have seen some commentary that we didn't shop this deal, whatever that means, and I don't know that it makes that.
I'm gonna say my question. Actually, now I have 2 questions. Now I'm thinking about it.
I do believe we had a thorough process, and we had a good idea of what
they're both kind of the same question, really.
Would or could look like. And
different situations.
This was a deal that we felt like made sense, and the reason that we executed it, as difficult as it was.
One quick follow-up on that. Within that, though, a lot of people think that the trade deadline or the offseason represent times when it's easier for a number of teams to bid against each other. Why was it the case that there were unique circumstances to right now that led to the deal being made now, and you felt like you really did need to kind of push the gas pedal, or did you just feel like this was in your market survey? Did you just think that this was going to be the best deal you were going to get?
Yeah, I think that this, I think we rightfully set a really high bar in order to execute a trade of this magnitude.
Could you guys, for Sam and Craig, what happened in the meeting between John and Rafi in Kansas City, and what was the resolution on that?
Sorry, you had asked what was the meeting between John and Rafi?
Yeah, I think that's what he asked. I can take a stab, Perez. That meeting was full of candor, openness, honesty between both John and Rafi. And Perez has had many discussions with Rafi. I've had discussions with Rafi. AC's had discussions with Rafi that have been candid, honest, direct, and we just weren't able to get there on a shared vision for his role going forward.
You had about maybe 10 visions with him.
It's okay. This sometimes happens in a long-term relationship,
and you figure it out. You don't just give him up for nothing.
Did the absolute best thing in the best interest of the Boston Red Sox, and in this case, in Rafi Devers. And like I said, we really wish him well. But we've had lots of open discussions with our clubhouse every year since we've been here.
Now that my dad's thinking about it,
a century.
If
perhaps this year more than even ever before.
They really just wanted to get off the contract. That would be kind of a legitimate question. If he came back and said he's willing to play first base, would he still be here?
Boston Red Sox.
When it comes to,
I mean, of course they're going to say yeah.
Role going forward and what the organization saw it as being. Could you specify what it is? Whether it's a defensive position, whether it was leadership, whether it was interacting with media, whether it was sponsorship commitments to the team. What exactly did you see him doing that he was either unwilling or unable to fulfill?
I mean, this is kind of asking that.
I think it's best to just leave it at we just didn't have the same shared vision for what was in the best interest of the team on the field, and this was a baseball deal as Brett's articulated.
Hi, Sam. Hi, Craig. Matt McCarthy with the Sports Hub. Sam, as you just said that this was a baseball decision, and maybe this is a better question for you, given you've been here a little bit longer than Craig, but over the course of the last 5 years, you've traded an undeniable first ballot Hall of Famer in Mookie Betts, and now a player who might be building his own Hall of Fame resume.
Let's go.
Devers. So I guess simply put, why does the organization keep doing this? And what are the organizational factors that have created an environment where the Boston Red Sox are,
Milwaukee.
I repeatedly
butch that. It's crazy.
Hall of Fame talent.
W-Wat.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Understand the question. Each and every player decision is its own individual decision. And as I said at the outset, it's really, really hard when we either can't line up with our own players who become free agents or we don't line up on extensions. Obviously, very different circumstances.
You fucking cheapskate them!
But I'll put our record up against
what are you talking about, dude?
Over the last 24 years, we're incredibly proud of what we've built here. We've got more trophies and banners to show for it than any other organization in Major League Baseball, and we are so proud of that. And this clubhouse...
I don't want to talk like a Yankee fan, but 27 rings.
And I think our players are going to be pretty vocal over the next couple months about the belief in themselves and what they're...
What do you have, like the 5th most World Series championships in baseball?
Easy for me to talk about him. He's
this guy's actually delusional. He actually believes what he thinks.
His tenure here...
This is coming on, by the way.
Short, has been defined by bold, decisive, aggressive moves. Probably feels a lot more than 2 years in the role. But a lot of the moves that he's made have been bold and decisive and rooted in what is in the best interest of the baseball team. We're never going to shy away from big, bold decisions. We'll get a lot wrong, and hopefully we get more right than wrong. And we'll keep adding trophies to that case and raising banners here in Fenway.
Having this conversation a week ago, we would be talking about starting pitching, and they've been really good the last 2 turns through, and we need to make sure that has some staying power. But starting pitching could be an opportunity for us to continue to upgrade. Also we've had our share of both bullpen injuries and inconsistency in trying to get the ball to Aroldis, who's been so good late in games. So that's another potential pathway. And then we need to start thinking about what does the long-term solution look like.
Did somebody really ask about a certain player in the return?
Tristan's rehab is going well, but it's going to be a long road there. So, yeah, I think we're absolutely going to look.
The only question should be about Rafael Devers in this one,
and could put them to use as early as the 2025 trade deadline.
Yeah, when it comes to reaching the inflection point that you described earlier, Sam, do you view this as being your responsibility as a front office? Is it more Devers' responsibility that you're unable to find, that common ground to allow for him to, pick up a glove and contribute in the way that you guys desired? Who do you feel has the most responsibility in this?
Well, it's a shared responsibility. I think you never want to be in this situation where you can't find alignment with someone you've got a long-term commitment to. But unfortunately we did. And look, I'm the CEO of this organization.
Unfortunately.
So, I have a huge amount of accountability, responsibility for everything that happens at Fenway Park. I know Brez feels a huge amount of accountability.
And you keep saying I'm sorry for the last 5 fucking years! Shut the fuck up and actually listen to your fan base for once!
What's best for the team. We were the ones that made the decision to make the move. Obviously, that's our.
Put your stupid fucking ego aside and actually do what's best for the fan base and this fucking team!
I'm very confident in this group's ability to go forward and to be incredibly competitive. We've been disappointed. Let's be clear about that. We're not pleased with where we are. We all had much higher.
What else is new?
For this group, but we have seen incredible life and energy the last week or so. We're excited about getting some guys back from injury, and we're really excited about the injection of youth and the team first attitude of that youth that's coming.
The injection
into
of
the
youth
organization and the culture that's being built.
These
in this
poor fucking prospects.
You guys talked about the inflection point here.
If I can just jump in, just to follow up.
Sorry, go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, just to follow up on Sam's point there, just because I do think I also shoulder a significant responsibility here, and failing to reach that alignment, failing to find common ground, and I.
So why did you just give up then?
Each step along the way and question, whether or not the approach that we had was the right one. It may not have changed the outcome, but I think not to go back and kind of be self-reflective and self-critical would be a missed opportunity to improve this the next time we're in a similar situation.
You guys have talked about sort of the inflection point you've reached and the culture you want to have. And just relative to the timing of this deal, I mean, the team had won 5 in a row, 7 of 8. So what was the impact that you were seeing of Raphael's behavior on the team? Because at this particular juncture, it didn't seem to be affecting the team's performance on the field, which was as good as it had been all season.
Right.
And so was this more something that was bothersome to the front office and
yeah, how are you gonna respond to this?
Impacting the team at this particular point?
Yeah, I can jump in there. The timing was absolutely not great, and we don't always have the choice about when these things kind of reach the point of execution. Outside of we absolutely could have walked away or said we're not going to make this trade, but we do ultimately believe that it was.
Yeah, but how can you say it's a baseball decision when you just got yourself back in the wild card race?
To say that our performance was solely because of Rafi, any more than to say a number of these games that we've won over the first couple months have been because of the offensive contributions that he's made. But I do think as we think about the identity and the culture and the environment that is created by great teams, there was something amiss here, and it was something that we needed to.
My one question I would have
to course correct
is,
and Craig, if I could just follow up with you on that. I mean, just so we just sort of have it on the record here. I mean, was this just about first base? Had you asked him after Alex's injury about moving to third? I believe it was a few weeks ago in Atlanta.
There it is.
You were quoted as saying you guys hadn't asked him about third. So did you ask him about moving to third after Alex went down? Was that a consideration, and did he refuse that as well?
Yeah, so I did not have the conversation with him about third base. Felt like there were better paths to exploring that, but ultimately, as Sam has pointed out, this kind of lack of alignment. I don't think that there's an individual or a single event that we would point to. I think it's more just the totality, the culmination of a bunch of these things where we felt like a fresh start for both sides was probably the right path forward.
Why aren't you giving these answers?
Can you
There's
guys
a video going
explain?
around of Rafael Devers showing up to the stadium in a cab. Just curious if that was just a logistical thing, or if there was something to that.
That was just logistics to the timing, and obviously him needing to make sure that he got all of his stuff.
Sam, Craig, can you guys explain what you want your identity, culture, and environment to be that it wasn't with Rafael Devers?
Yeah. Wow, Jeff Passan!
Talk about my experiences on championship caliber teams, and the unfortunately I keep going back to this, but what it keeps coming to is this idea that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, that each individual is contributing and finding a way to help a team win, whether that is in the batter's box, on the pitcher's mound, on the bases, on defense, in the clubhouse, on the bench. It's the willingness to step up and sacrifice at times of need, and essentially kind of do whatever is necessary to help.
They're stressing this a lot.
And I think that's the identity, this relentless pursuit of winning.
They have such an indictment over the fact that he did not want to go over to first base after basically they told them, "Hey, you suck so bad on the field. We are going to move you to DH."
Not fulfilling.
Yeah, I don't think it makes sense at this point to kind of be overly pointed or critical. I think we failed to reach that alignment. It was a really strong fit here.
Where's the Netflix documentary for this season?
It had started to diverge, and so I think best to identify it, own it, and act decisively to fix it.
Sam, do you think in retrospect, the decision to sign Rafael, the one guy you signed to the long-term deal when others obviously you didn't with Mookie or even Xander, does it feel like a mistake now? Is this admitting a mistake of the past?
Look, we thought we had alignment back when we made the contract a couple years ago.
Yeah, you promised him third base!
And ultimately we did.
Then you told him you suck so bad at third base, we're moving you to DH.
Like Brez said, we own it. We had certain expectations.
The only misalignment that you've had is on your guys' end, by the way.
Conclusion that we did not have a full alignment. We moved on. So it's a totally fair question, and
you are a
fucking
sleazebag.
Think a lot about, but not too much. We need to look forward and move on, and really excited about the guys coming back and where we're headed in 2025.
Question for Sam or Craig or both. You guys, Devers seemed pretty blindsided during spring training.
I know
when
who
you
this
guys
person is. Jesus Christ.
Initially talked to him about moving off of third base. Do you think that if there had been more kind of conversations about that during the offseason before you guys signed Bregman, that it may have been an easier transition, smoother sailing, that it might not have gotten to this point? Because there was a lot of Rafi as our third baseman from
I will say she's cooking though right now. I've seen some controversial stuff
pretty
based off of you.
Taken aback.
But this is a good question though.
Brez, you want to answer?
Sure. That's one of the questions that I ask myself every day, and there is no blueprint for how to navigate this. It does seem easy at this point, given where we are today, to say that we mishandled that, and I think that would be a totally fair criticism.
So you just said it. You just admitted that all of this was your guys' fault. You basically went behind his back to get his replacement. That's basically what you just said.
Position. And now we have a different type of problem on our hands, and so we try to operate with.
You guys are so dysfunctional. It's not even funny.
Baseball is so unpredictable that it's really difficult to do that until the very end. But I think to answer your question, I think about that all of the time. And if in a similar situation next time, my hope is that we are able to manage that in a way that it never.
So you just admitted you snaked him.
Could you guys? I would only add to that we did not know, obviously, until late night, February 8th, I think it was. Alex Bregman was coming to Boston.
Oh my God.
John, Tom, Mike, me, we have a responsibility to do everything we can to improve the club, and we felt we were doing that by bringing Alex Bregman to the Red Sox. And we have a responsibility, ironically, to every single player.
Too late. You can't save Breslow. He's already answered it.
Our power to improve the club. So it was something that we were committed to doing, and I do not regret that for 1 minute.
We have time for 2 more questions.
Could you guys outline for us the specific reaction from Alex Cora regarding this deal, and with the whole player alignment piece? Is there some blame to be shouldered from Alex Cora for not being able to get this player aligned with the Red Sox vision?
Yeah, I can. I can walk through the reaction from Alex, and Alex and we're talking multiple times a day. So this was not something that came from nowhere. We had some conversations. I let him know of the progress, and his position is the one that we share, which is what we believe is best for the Boston Red Sox is the one that we should act on. And when he has insights to provide based on really having his hands on the pulse of the clubhouse and player reaction, he shares them, and that's really important information. But I think he also understood all of the dynamics here and what we were trying to build in the short term and the long term, and understood the direction. And ultimately, Alex is someone who puts the Red Sox organization first, and so he,
I don't buy
is
that,
behind
but
us
all right.
and supporting it. And
I think he's checked out of this team. And
this,
can you blame
with
him?
full confidence
I really
that
can't.
I can imagine a better manager who could handle the player reaction, the clubhouse reaction, the staff
Yeah, but you
reaction
put this
to this type of trade.
manager
and to get the group focused.
do so much shit
on
already.
tonight's
Like, how
game
much more
and
do you
go out
want him
there
to
and give us
do?
the best chance of beating the Seattle Mariners tonight.
Greg, you've talked a lot tonight about alignment and culture, are two phrases that have come up a lot. Do those take on added significance this year because you are introducing so many rookies and young players onto the major league roster, and you want to make sure that those concepts become even more important when there are younger, more maybe impressionable guys on the roster?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think culture is always important, but I think it's magnified when you have young players who are coming to
somebody
the big
needs
leagues
to ask
and
him,
trying
what is
to
trading
acclimate
your franchise
themselves to
player?
this lifestyle expectations, demands, and
Show
and
to your young guys
understanding
that you're
they
trying
need
to
convert their emotions from
develop
being happy
into
to
these
be
stars
happy
that
to
you
be here,
guys
to
want them
being
to
willing to do
become
everything that's
over a
needed to
period of
win
time.
as quickly as possible. And
Paraphrasing, I probably
we're
could have
very
worded it differently,
deliberate,
but
about the environment that we're creating to support these guys and making sure that the messaging
basically what I'm saying
is
is
messaging so that
somebody needs to
3,
ask
4, 5
him
years
what
from
message are
now,
they
when
trying to get
there's a
across
wave of really exciting young talent
to the young core that they have coming up
set the standard
that's
and
already here. And what's the
Craig,
message?
Tonight's call. Thank you all for joining us.
Basically, the question I would have asked is this. The question I would have asked is, what does this say to the young core that just came up, trading away a franchise player who is a homegrown talent? What does this show to them? And what does this also show to players who are possibly looking to come to a different team once they hit free agency? What does this show to them based off of your message that you're trying to send by making this move? Obviously, that just came off the fly off the top of my head, but like, that's what came to my mind real quick as what needs to be asked. Because they just did another homegrown player dirty. A generational talent again. And basically showed him the door with middle fingers up. How does this look to the young core? How does this look to future free agents who might want to come to Boston? It's all something to think about here. That's going to do it for this video here. Thank you guys for watching this one. Leave a thumbs up if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe now if you guys new. You guys know what to do. Go to our website. The link's in the description down below. Thank you guys for watching this one. It's been your boy Jesse. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Later.